You know, it's interesting too, because we know in the description of the book of Revelation that the woman, the harlot, the mother basically of all blasphemies, right? She is riding the beast.
Yeah.
So talk about that. Talk about her for a moment. And she's riding the beast, so she's obviously connected with him.
Yep.
And yet she has one enemy. Okay, she's drinking the blood of the saints. And then maybe talk about how that, you mentioned it briefly. We know as well in Revelation 17, basically 12, 13, that and on, that he turns on her. And the kings burn her with fire. So maybe unpack that a little bit for us.
Well, what I find fascinating here is that religion, from the time of the Tower of Babel with Nimrod, religion has always tried to dominate politics. You saw religion dominating politics in the South American cultures. You see religion dominating politics with the Native Americans. You see religion dominating politics in the Hindu nations, the Buddhist nations, in the Muslim nations. You see it dominating in the Christian nations or the supposed Christian nations. We see that right now in America with the religious right trying to dominate American politics. What's going to happen in the future is you've got all these Babylonian religions in the world. They're going to come together in one Babylonian religion. You're going to have all the Babylonian economic theories come together in one Babylonian economic system. All the Babylonian political spectrum is going to come together in one Babylonian system. But in the middle of the 70th week, the political Babylon is going to be fed up to here with religious Babylon, and they will be done with her. They will burn the whore with fire, because religion has been riding the beast or attempting to ride the beast for time immemorial.
And the question there would be then, usually if someone is riding a beast, when you ride a horse, the person that is riding it generally is controlling it or guiding it, right? Or managing it, however you want to say it. So in this sense, those religious figures, whoever they are, they will be seeking to manipulate the beast, right?
That's right.
And guide it where it wants. And then, as you said, there's going to be a final rebellion in the middle there, where the beast says, "I've consolidated my authority up to this point." We go on there. His mortal wound is healed, so the Antichrist dies and gets resurrected. At least at the minimum, allegedly. But nevertheless, the whole world marvels at this. And then at this point, in the sense of coming out of the abyss and arriving on the scene and then being fully empowered by the dragon for that 42 months.
That's
so then
right.
the second half of the 42 months is unopposed, generally authority, where he then brings out the mark, the beast of the earth, the false prophet, etc., brings out the mark and forces people with the image and everything else. But then authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. So the second half, then, the religion is out of the way. He has said, "I'm going to give you the new religion. It's me." He's going to declare himself to be God, right?
Yep, that's right.
2 Thessalonians 2. And then from that point on, he's pointing worship not only to himself, but also to the dragon during that second half. And he's relatively unopposed, right? So looking out right now, again, we're not there yet, but looking out at the world, we have several. You mentioned Chrislam, so we got Christianity, Judaism. We know where that's going to be during the tribulation, right? They're going to be back in their temple, at least for the first half. And then you have Islam. Yep. So, any sort of beast or any sort of kingdom has a political component, generally has a religious component. It could be atheist, but that's still religious in one sense. How does all this work together? Does this contribute then, going back to the idea of the toes being partly strong and partly mixed?
It could, yeah. I'm more inclined to think of that we'd have the Arabs in democracy not mixing, and that's the top level. But you start going underneath that, there's a reason Europe is more atheistic, and Islam is very much committed to Sharia law.
Mm-hmm. And so as we look, do you see with all that's going on right now prophetically with the in-run of Islam into Europe and, America, obviously we see it, Dearborn, Michigan, Minneapolis, even in Houston and Texas, they're trying. But the United States is so big that it's another generation, I imagine, or more before they make the same level of inroads like they are in Europe right now. But again, London is done. London's over. It's not even really an English town anymore. But they've been working on it for generations.
Yes.
So they have a head start there in Europe, but no doubt they don't play nice, right?
That's right. Then they're more than willing to lie. They'll lie to your face. They think it's okay to lie. In fact, they think that they've been required by Allah to lie to forward the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's to me, I find it shocking. So when we think about then, do you see, maybe again, thinking out loud, what are you seeing right now? If someone, again, let's say, maybe a believer or somebody, maybe a skeptic, they would say, based on all the things that we've just described, how do you see, when you look out in the world right now, what are some correlations of potential prophetic fulfillment or direction or guidance? Basically, hey, Lee, what you're saying, that's fine, but I don't see anything in the world right now that is showing this to be true. How would you respond to that?
Well, if we look at the bigger geopolitical picture, for instance, you take Ezekiel 38 and 39 at face value about the Gog and Magog-led juggernaut that's going to come into Israel. You see featured prominently Persia or Iran with Turkey and Russia. You go back 45, 50 years ago, these nations were not allies. Turkey and Iran were allied with America. They weren't really friendly with each other, and they were not friendly with Russia. Fast forward to today, Turkey and Iran are in some kind of rapprochement and getting closer. Turkey and Russia are tight. Russia and Iran are tight. So you've got that triumvirate right there. Mm-hmm. That's geopolitical stage setting. The other interesting thing that comes more closely to what we're talking about is we have the whole world is getting frustrated with Israel. They've got a vendetta for Israel. The whole world is anti-Israel, anti-Zionism, anti-Jewish state, anti-Jew. And this is a perplexing difficulty, but this is leading up to the tribulation when God is going to put Israel in the fires of the tribulation, and it's going to be the time of Jacob's trouble. So we see the stage being set for that right now before our eyes.